What is the secret of our life? The biggest secret of our life is that we do not know ourselves. Perhaps we do not know our nature or our original nature, or even knowing it, even unknown. Just as we know the nature of water is liquid, so do we know what is the basic nature of man. Self-realization. There is a calm power inside every person, which is what we call our inner soul. This conscience is right in every circumstance. This conscience always shows us the right path. Whenever we are doing something wrong, then we feel weird as someone is saying that do not do that work. This is the inner power inside us which prevents us from doing bad things.
It is said that in every human being there is a part of God. This part of God is our inner soul. Our nature, calm power, love, fearless, harmony, help and goodness of others. This peaceful and wonderful power exists in every human being, whether it is a criminal or a saint or another person. But then why a saint runs on the right path and the culprit is on the wrong path? This happens because the saint receives the voice of his conscience, but the voice of the criminal is no longer heard. Indeed, when we ignore our conscience, our contact with our conscience weakens.
When we are going to do something bad the second time, we feel the voice of our conscience again, but this time the voice is not so strong because our contact with our conscience has become weak. As we continue to ignore the voice of our conscience, our contact with our conscience becomes weak, and one day it comes that we cannot hear that voice at all. As our contact with our conscience weakens, we begin to feel depressed and find happiness in physical things. We are unable to solve the problems, so that stress becomes our friend. Where are we going? Today our life has become like a machine in which we keep running, but we do not know where we go. If we call ourselves a money-gathering robot, there will be no exaggeration. Today we have everything, yet most people are not happy. Why is it like this? Its direct reason is that contact with our own conscience has become weak, so we only find happiness in external objects. We feel that anger is natural. But can a rage person be happy? After the annoyance, our entire day or 2 or 3 hours. In fact, the more we ignore the voice of our conscience, the more we become mentally and emotionally weak. Our nature is absolutely pure that there is no place for anger, greed and greed. But when we begin to try to make anger, greed and ishaya in our nature, then we become unhappy. Even if a thief feels that he will be happy by stealing, but in reality he steals his problems by stealing. When we do evil of another person, then we most harm ourselves because we have not heard the voice of our conscience. Gautam Buddha has said a very good thing. You do not get punished for your anger, but you get punished only by your anger. Most people think that if we do anger, ishaya or greed, then God will punish us, but it is not so. Indeed, when we do anger, wrath, greed or anything else, contact with our conscience weakens and this is our punishment. We are responsible for our sufferings and problems ourselves. Man's happiness depends on how strong his contact with his conscience is. By unknowing the voice of conscience, we shoot at our feet.